What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. So, those of you who are wondering why I'm streaming in this time, well, yesterday I put out on like a tweet or on my community tab that I was going to do a video on how I would bring Tommy Oliver into the Power Rangers reboot universe. So, yesterday I did a video on Luminary about new information, surrounding the Mighty Morphin reboot. Turns out there's not going to be any time traveling. Thank God for that. But yeah, I wrote down some interesting things that they can do last night, and I finished it in my uncle's house, and I finished it now. So this one is really interesting. This is just you know my take and my pitch on how to bring Tommy Oliver into the PR universe. So yeah, let's get started. Says the movie opens up with Tommy Oliver practicing his karate in his backyard in a trailer park. His mother comes home checks on him. Then the two began having a conversation about his future with his life after high school. Before his first day, yeah, let me start off. The movie starts off with Tommy Oliver practicing his karate in his backyard in the trailer park. His mother comes in, checks on him. Then the two begin having a conversation about his future after high school, before his first date. The next scene shows Tommy goes to Angel Grove High School sports program to register for the karate tournament. Now, y'all know in the beginning of the Greenwood Diva saga, we know nothing about Tommy at all. He was just a character that was introduced in the martial arts tournament without having any types of background whatsoever. We haven't seen where he came from, where his parents came from, where is he from? Why does he move here? So we basically don't know nothing about this cat. But based on what I wrote, it's not only interesting, but it's kind of inspiring, to be honest with you. So let's continue. Uh, where I left off. Yeah, so meanwhile, the original five shows up to school for the karate tournament to sign up for the tournament, especially Jason. And then all of a sudden, Kimberly glosses over this new kid in town because y'all know in the Green Deal saga, her and Tommy began this relationship. So she was, simping for Tommy, if you ask me. So Rita has been trying to figure out a plan to kidnap this new kid to become her new Green Ranger. So, just like the show, Rita is coming up with a plan to figure out how to kidnap Tommy, but also have him be her servant as the new Green Ranger. Now, if you actually think about it, this Netflix version could also use some of the elements and create their own style. That's basically how I would write it and how I wrote it. Tommy gets a disturbing phone call from his grandparents that that his parents were killed in a car accident that rocked his world forever. Now, this part right here, the reason why I want to write that is because I wanted to give Tommy a background because I was watching Kaiju Sentai's video on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 1 when he also mentioned something about Tommy Oliver's parents were killed in a car crash. So he's been living on his own ever since. So I wanted to pitch that idea and put that into the story that I wrote. And it kind of makes sense of why Tommy has always been a loner. Because in the show, we know nothing about these characters. We know nothing about the parents. We only see the original Five Rangers parents, but we haven't seen Tommy's parents, his birth parents, or his grandparents. So the reason why I wanted to write this because I wanted to make it feel dark and upsetting to the point where Tommy has nothing to offer, nothing left to do. So from then on, after the his parents' funeral, his grandparents offered him the place to stay, and he wasn't really sure about all of that. So he had to go home and get some thoughts in, wondering whether he should live with his parents or not, because he's only 17 years old. So he'll be turning um 18 tomorrow on his first day of high school, since they just moved to Angel Grove. So about a week later, Tommy enters the karate tournament preparing for the fight. Rita sits down and watches the new kid as the fight begins. Rita begins her plot to trap him into the crystal ball. The fights continue. The fight continues on. Jason and Tommy were in a very intense battle. It ended up in a tie because both martial arts skills were unmatched. So after the, yeah, let me slow down because I hate when I talk fast. Y'all know how I do. So let me start over. A week later, Tommy enters the karate tournament, preparing for the fight. Rita sits down and watches the new kid. As the fight begins, Rita begins her plot to trap him into a crystal ball. The fight continues on. Jason and Tommy were in a very intense fight, but they ended up in a tie because both martial artists and their skills were unmatched. So y'all know, just like in the Green Medieval Saga, I don't know who won the fight, but I think it was a draw because both were excellent martial artists. So either Jason lost or Tommy won. We don't know still to this day. So that's one of the reasons why I put it in there, because I wanted to make sure that it makes sense to put in a tie, because they're both have similar fighting styles. But the difference is Tommy's fighting style is more of a karate style. His fighting skills are wild, especially his most iconic jump kicks. Okay, let's see where I left off. So after the tournament, Jason takes a shower. Kimberly and Trini talk about Tommy. Kim was simping all over him. Minutes later, Broken Skull began to pick on Kimberly. Then Tommy shows up to rescue her. Tommy and Kimberly then Tommy then shows them off, to not pick on Kimberly again. They began talking. Tommy introduced himself to her. So then the two had this a few minutes of conversation about wanting to hang out with the gang after school. But just like in the TV show, Rita has completed her plan. So Tommy has to get home to his grandparents to catch an alley. And all of a sudden, she sends the police down to him. It gets interesting from here. After the fight broke out, Rita appears out of nowhere to trap Tommy into a crystal ball. Tommy wakes up wondering where is he at. So he's going crazy, asking Rita to let him go. But the more he was acting all rational and acting crazy because he wanted to leave. He was constantly cussing her out, asking her to let him go. But Godard just, so I'm sorry, I thought I heard something. So Godard shows up out of nowhere to just knocks the brakes out of Tommy Oliver, just knocks him out cold. And it says here. So let me just start over because I'm way off track here. So I might have to edit this video later on. After the fight, Rita appears out of nowhere, traps him into a crystal ball. Tommy wakes up wondering where he's at, so he goes crazy, asking her to let him go. But Goldar knocks him out cold so that Rita can use her devil witchcraft spell on Tommy to become the evil Green Ranger. She gives him instructions of how to access the command center with or without the coin. and how to take down the Rangers. I almost forgot that part when I wrote down. So after Goldar knocks Tommy out cold, I mean, he, my grammar is so bad. He knocks him out cold. Rita does her magical spells to make Tommy her new Green Ranger. Then she gives him instructions of how to enter the command center without the coin and with the coin, and to take down the 5 Rangers. Tommy ends up in the command center, disables Alpha 5, trash talks Zonon, and trashes the command center, and leaves his smokes and leaves like a savage that he is. Jason, Zach, and Billy were washing cars, playing around. Kimberly and Trini met up with them. Kimberly began talking about Tommy, wondering why he hasn't showed up to hang out with them. Alpha calls the Rangers. The communicators were not responding so well, so they ended up at the command center with the rat bug just to see the damage. Now, y'all know, just like in the Greenwood Deal saga, um, Tommy ends up showing up. He disables Alpha. Then he talks down on Zonon, and Zonon was trying to help Tommy. So after that, he just left the command center stranded and brutalized, and just all the smoke everywhere and all the electricity. I mean, the electricities are just spiraling everywhere. Almost got to the point where there was nothing that Zonar can do. He's gone, thanks to Tommy. So the Rangers ends up showing up to the command center with a rat bug, all damaged up, wondering what happened. So Billy reactivates Alpha 5. Alpha was so scared about what happened. Then the Ranger sees Goldar in the viewing globe. They morph into the action. The putties, well, after they morph into action and fight the putties off the ground, um, the Rangers then summon their Zords and fight Goldar for about 3 minutes, up until Tommy shows up, wrecks the Rangers' Megazord cockpits, beats the brakes out of the Rangers on ground battle. The fight with Jason and Tommy was so impactful, it lasted 3 minutes. But Tommy unleashes the Dragon Hadouken to end it off, leaving the Rangers brutalized, nosebleed, and weakened, and Tommy leaves like a savage. So basically, how they would bring Tommy into the Power Rangers MCU version. I don't know why I said the MCU, but how they could bring Tommy into the Netflix universe. You know, a new kid in town just moved to Angel Grove, lives with his birth parents in a trailer park for which they moved in because they couldn't afford a regular house or an apartments. They could only afford, trailer parks where it's like cheaper, whatever though. But Tommy just didn't care. So because all he wanted to do was just practice martial arts. So yeah, just to get ready for the karate tournament with a fellow martial artist that everybody is familiar with. Then Rita shows up to trap Tommy into a crystal ball and make him her new Green Ranger. Go to the command center, racks the place, racks Alpha. Then the Ranger shows up in the wrap up and just try to figure out what's going on. So they see Goldar in the viewing globe. They morph into action, fight the putties off. Then they see Goldar all giant. They summon their Zords. They fight Goldar for about 3 minutes. And then all of a sudden, Tommy shows up, wrecks the Rangers Megazord cockpits, and just beats the brakes out of the Rangers on ground battle. Then the fight with Jason only lasted 3 minutes. And even Jason couldn't get the best of him, even though he tried his hardest. But Tommy ends up finishing the Rangers off with the Dragon Hadouken, which you've only seen in Ranger and on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers just for one time, but never again. So I think tomorrow in part 2 of how to bring Tommy into the Netflix universe, I'm gonna continue on with this story because I think what I wrote so far, it makes sense. It seems kind of interesting. But for one thing, one thing for sure about Tommy Oliver is that he has no goody two shoes. He's just a normal kid, who was a new kid in town, only to find out that his parents were killed in a car accident. So he's now living with his grandparents. If you actually think about it, it kind of makes sense. Because why do you think he was always alone on the show? We know nothing about the characters, like I said before. So I wanted to make sure that I incorporated that into this little imagination of mine, just to be creative, from a fan perspective. You know what I'm saying? So, so make sure y'all tune in part two tomorrow. Whether it's going to be live or just doing a regular video, I'll probably do like a regular video on this. You know, just to get my clear thoughts and imagination and my vision of how I will bring Tommy into, the Netflix reboot universe, if you ask me. So if y'all enjoy my little, you know, creation that I've done on Tommy Oliver, everyone's favorite Green Ranger, let me know in the comments down below. And I will see you in my next content. Peace.